there's nothing organic about this administration. It's all political. Even if you think about the kind of people they've been meeting at State House, we're seeing them spending 2 million on printing. Printing, what the heck are we printing? And this is an administration that came in and said everything must be digitized. Heck, they had a whole department that focused on the digital economy. And then they're still here printing papers and cutting down trees. We've seen what they're doing in Karura. So they have no respect for the environment. So for me, I would say where the rubber hits the road. This committee, even before they sit, remember we have up to 500 young people who are being charged on arson. We have over 70 who are being charged with terrorism, with flimsy evidence. The first thing, if they wanted to show goodwill, is these young people who've been arrested on these charges. If you have no evidence, if the cases are flimsy, drop them. How do we have them going through the court process for protesting, which is their right constitutionally, and you're talking about facing compensation for victims that were held or that have lost their lives due to protests. But then you forget this group that is currently, some are still in cells, up to 30. This economic model doesn't make sense to me. We're just seeing people spending extravagantly, and I'm worried.
How?
Because I thought that 2022 was an expensive election. People will argue Kenya has some of the most expensive elections globally. We ain't seen nothing yet. 2027, we are really going to see money roll. Money roll. And unfortunately, it's going to be money coming from places that we can't understand. We don't know. This is wash money. This is mafia money. These are people buying real estate because they are trying to wash their resources. This is stolen money. When you have money missing from SHA in the billions, then we just don't. So for me, the math is not mathing. So you can't talk about a Singapore without creating the environment for that Singapore, without having citizens who understand the Singapore you're trying to build, without even giving them the opportunity to be able to build themselves. People are being locked out of school, but you just threw 1 billion away to someone you don't listen to because you know everything. Why?
I'm so glad to have you on board once again on this Saturday evening with none other than Executive Director Siasu Place, Madam Nerima Wako. She's back on the show after a while. I'm Richard Mwenja. Welcome on board. Let's unpack conversations that are shaping Kenya's political and governance landscape. Nerima Wako, great to see you.
Good to see you.
How have you been though?
I've been here and there. Good. Trying to take some small breaks, but yeah, I've been good.
Now you're back with renewed energy.
I'm back. I'm back. Yeah.
Fantastic. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, Nerima. Of course, a storm has brewed on among netizens, and all thanks to Faith Odhiambo, LSK president, being sworn into office as vice chairperson of the Committee on Experts to deal with compensation of demonstration and public protest victims. And there's this question that maybe if you work with a dysfunctional system, then there's a way they just drain you and turn you into someone who will no longer believe in the visions they were believing in before you took such roles. But then again, if Faith Odhiambo is to sit back and be silent on this matter, how do you think this should pan out?
I know. I mean, I would not want to be Faith or Irungu right now because there were so many conversations that happened within those weeks, a few days. Government approached quite a number of people, especially people in the human rights sector, and a number of people declined simply because of the formation of this committee. Just felt very impromptu, abrupt, and you know, people will argue, but you guys have been pushing for compensation.
Yeah,
so now they are doing it, now you're complaining because of how it's done. And the reason as to how it's done is important, speaks to the institutionalization, right? There needs to be an institution that is in charge. For that one, we know is Kenya National Human Rights Commission.
Sure.
It needs to be going through bunge. Then how do you decide what years you're looking at, because remember, Kenya has a lot of historical baggage, and sometimes, not sometimes, actually all the time, we will put the lid on our baggage. We don't want to deal with our injustices. And so now when you start to decide that we'll deal with it from 2013 or we'll deal with it from 2017, what are we saying to Kenyans who have dealt with, especially state brutality, before that period? And how are you choosing their lives or not choosing their lives over these ones? It's unfair. But I would say that I've had conversations with people who are in the committee now, the ones who are just recently sworn in. And one thing is very clear.
Which is?
There was pressure from families in terms of, you know, who is going to speak for us? Especially, you know, we trust you, you have a trusted reputation, you're in the room, you're at the table. So you know that saying, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So people are like, let's have somebody that we trust in the room at the table. That's one view. Then there's also the view of their institutions. You know, when you're talking about Irungu Hilton, you're talking about Amnesty that speaks for not just Kenya's human rights. We're talking about global. It's Amnesty International. And then he comes in as an institution. LSK, it's not about faith as an individual. The institution, LSK, what she has been running and what it has meant over the last 2 years. So even when you look at it from that mindset, it's institutions at the table, not necessarily individuals. Where I believe I disconnect is we have seen this government not perform well in terms of even the committees they formed. It was here on this show I asked you what happened to the one on audit. See, walinyamaza. See, that one after the finance bill of last year. They formed one impromptu. I think even Faith was on that one. And
pending
she
bills,
declined.
menace and all that.
Yeah, and she declined when it was gazetted. So, you know, what happened to that committee? So even the history with this administration, with the committees that are formed, we haven't seen any fruits from them, which for me is the worry. And why does this one feel like it's special? You know, maybe it's because it's in a political moment. Maybe it's because they have no choice but to perform well, especially to get the buy-in of the public. The president has been trying really, really hard through Chan, you know, to impress footballers, to bring unity, you know, to give them houses, to give them
Come on, Nerima. It wasn't organic morale boosting?
No. There's nothing organic about this administration. It's all political. Even if you think about the kind of people they've been meeting at State House, we're seeing them spending 2 million on printing. Printing, what the heck are we printing? And this is an administration that came in and said everything must be digitized. Heck, they had a whole department that focused on the digital economy. And then they're still here printing papers and cutting down trees. We've seen what they're doing in Karura. So they have no respect for the environment. So for me, I would say where the rubber hits the road. This committee, even before they sit, remember we have up to 500 young people who are being charged on arson. We have over 70 who are being charged with terrorism, with flimsy evidence. The first thing, if they wanted to show goodwill, is these young people who've been arrested on these charges. If you have no evidence, if the cases are flimsy, drop them. How do we have them going through the court process for protesting, which is their right constitutionally, and you're talking about facing compensation for victims that were held or that have lost their lives due to protests. But then you forget this group that is currently, some are still in cells, up to 30.
To this date?
To this date. There's a court in Kirinyaga, there's a court in Makadara that has completely refused to reduce bail terms or even refused to give bail to these young people. This is a current situation. So you're saying that this government is saying we want to extend an olive branch. We did wrong. But they're only recognizing the dead. Protesters who are alive in cells, you have completely forgotten that story. For me, I don't see goodwill.
Maybe they'll be remembered once they're dead.
Imagine. That's what we're saying. For me, I would believe in the goodwill if the ones who are alive were being dealt with now. Because they're breathing. We actually have a Form 4 student who was in committee and he's not gone back to school.
Form 4 student?
Yes, he was picked up during protests. He was coming home. But he was picked. We have minors. We have so many stories of minors who are arrested during Saba Saba. Some of them picked up from home. So me, I don't see goodwill there. But then you come and tell me, saizi tuko na goodwill. Now we want to deal with victims of protest. But the ones who are alive dealing with as victims of protest, you're silent.
They have not been reunited with their families?
No. We have up to 30 that are in cells. That is for sure. They haven't been reunited. Some of them, there are 2 women in Langata Women's. Their bail is as high as 100,000. In fact, it's from one family. There were 3 daughters. We could only afford to let one daughter out because she turned 18 in Langata Women's. She was a minor. So that's how we had to allow or fundraise for her to be removed. There's a mother who can't afford bail of 300,000 to remove 3 of her daughters. So now she has 2 left and calling almost every day, crying on the phone, wondering when are we going to be able to bail her. These are real situations happening today. This happened this week. But that committee, they are deaf to that situation. So for me, it would be, let Irungu, Faith, the rest of the committee try. I hope they will have the guts to quit when they see that the committee is not moving in the direction that they hoped it would. Because I am one who believes in a saying, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it is a duck. And for me, this duck is looking like it's not going to function. But
it's already limping.
It's limping. May you have the grace. And I pray that this duck turns into a swan. I do.
Not that you are bitter because you are left out of that committee selection.
I am not bitter. I think it's a terrible place to be in. I am not bitter. I hope it works because I hope they will have the guts, the audacity to step aside and let Kenyans know that this committee is not working the way we wanted it to work or we envisioned it to work. I would have more respect for them if they do that than to stay in that committee knowing it's not going anywhere when things begin to fall apart. Because anything being led by that professor, I don't see it prospering. But when they see it's beginning to fall apart, they need to stand up to the Kenyan people and tell us it's not working, and we respectfully stand aside. I will give them the respect.
So from the lenses of Nerima Wako, Makau Mutua, the professor you're talking about, is carrying ghosts from the past?
Absolutely. Tell her this is someone who used to talk about transitional justice.
Yeah.
An expert at it. And then the first thing he does is do something that is not even constitutional. You know, this is someone who talked about human rights.
True.
And then we want to paint it across as human rights are not systemic. These are systemic challenges. It's not about getting a budget, which we don't know from where. By the way, has Bunge put aside a budget for this?
Not yet.
How are they going to do that? I mean, again, we're talking about something that has no system. And then you're saying, we'll put money aside. We don't know from where. By the way, all of a sudden, we have been told how Kenya is poor. We need to raise taxes. But the amount of money we have seen spent in this...
We are coming to that in a few. You've questioned that probably there is zero goodwill from this administration to walk the talk and make systems work. You've talked about the need for the president and even people like Faith Odhiambo to summon up the audacity to do the right things. But then again, the president wants to make you aware that he has that audacity already and is committed to go out of his way to make Kenya the Singapore of Africa, that Kenya gets to the same tier as Malaysia and South Korea. He mentioned that this week.
Yes.
Don't you think that maybe Nerima Wako, you're just not granting him the grace of time, or probably not used to big ambitions?
You know, this is the thing. To get to Singapore, to build Singapore to where it was, you needed the goodwill of the public. Citizens knew what they were doing. They knew they were building toward a nation. They understood that by me paying this tax, I understand that it's for me to get better services. There was a government that worked hard to make sure that every single coin that was being contributed was going to where it needed to go. What we are seeing is the extravagance that we saw 2 years ago that led to even protests. What we're seeing is the opulence. What we're seeing is grandeur. I've never seen so many people in State House. We're talking about thousands. And you've seen the TikTok videos where people are talking about they each received 10K.
Yeah.
Come on. What we're seeing is over expenditure. It's not just expenditure.
The president believes that's bottom-up approach. He's making State House no longer sacred ground. I preserve for the rich and the elites.
It doesn't work like that. There is no business that works like that. Just because you spend money doesn't mean you're going to make money. No, you have to spend money with a plan. There has to be a system as to where you're spending that money. There has to be small businesses that you're growing. There has to be middle income businesses. There has to be policies and laws and regulations that protect businesses, that make environments conducive. What we're seeing is that it's strenuous for you to run a business. What we have seen is the number of businesses that have shut down. Biashara imekuwa mbaya. You're seeing even people who used to be able to survive on one business, they can't. People are hustling, selling products, even on social media, to make ends meet. People are struggling to get to work.
Even with Hustler Fund on board.
Yes, that's the situation. So, no, I don't, there's nothing about how they are spending the money that builds toward productivity. There's nothing. When you give someone that money, they attend your meeting, the first thing they do is they give it back to their families. They'll go to the supermarket and buy unga to be able to feed their families that night.
True.
They're not going to go and buy tools and equipment and go farm. Even though saizi ushago, saizi imeanza kunyesha, watu ndo wanaanza kufanya nini, ukulima. That's not what's happening. So no, it doesn't make sense to me. This economic model doesn't make sense to me. We're just seeing people spending extravagantly, and I'm worried.
How?
Because I thought that 2022 was an expensive election. People will argue Kenya has some of the most expensive elections globally. We ain't seen nothing yet. 2027, we are really going to see money roll. Money roll. And unfortunately, it's going to be money coming from places that we can't understand. We don't know. This is wash money. This is mafia money. These are people buying real estate because they are trying to wash their resources. This is stolen money. When you have money missing from SHA in the billions, then we just don't.
It's a creation of the media.
Yeah. Like, what is that? That's going toward campaigns.
But the president is trying to now slay this giant of corruption, in the sense that he's talked about the need for transition from manual procurement to electronic procurement within devolved units of government and even the national government. He's also talked about us now submitting files to the DCI for all those engaged in fraudulent deals with SHA. And now he's talking about he'll go out of his way to make Kenya the Singapore of Africa. He'll make the hard decisions which his predecessors have never made before. So then again, aren't you convinced that probably he's reading sense into what lies ahead?
Remind me of the article that said how much was being spent on advisors.
1 billion.
1 billion. So this is someone who claims that he's very smart. He knows what he's doing.
And he's not a madman for that case.
And he's not a madman. But he needs all these advisors. Okay, first of all, advisors, we don't even know where that position comes from. There are certain people who are not quite sure how they have received this position. And you're spending 1 billion. Is that not wastage? If you have the capacity and you know what you're doing and you're running a country, you would minimize the amount of people in your staff who come in as advisors, because you'd be able to say, I'm weak in this area, I just need an advisor here. Lakini hapa, kwa uchumi, naelewa vizuri sana. So I don't need an economic advisor per se. Maybe a consultant to come here and there when it comes to particular issues. Sure. Correct? So managing a company is very simple. You would be able to look at the loopholes as to where you're losing resource. I would say number one for me is advisors. 1 billion gone like that. What can you do with 1 billion in this country? For citizens of this country, what can you do with 1 billion? There are very many things. Thinking at the top of my head, every child who is now 17, 18, amemaliza shule, you can pay for all of them free education. The top of my head. Those are very simple fix with that 1 billion that you've given advisors. what have you done? You have taken students, young people, through an education system because you're banking on that education for them to build this country that you want to be a Singapore. How can you build a Singapore?
With budgeted corruption? Come on.
You can't. You can't. So for me, the math is not mathing. So you can't talk about a Singapore without creating the environment for that Singapore, without having citizens who understand the Singapore you're trying to build, without even giving them the opportunity to be able to build themselves. People are being locked out of school, but you just threw 1 billion away to someone you don't listen to because you know everything. Why?
So in as far as corruption is concerned, this far it has been a pretentious and hypocritical call actually from the president.
I don't know if it's pretentious because sometimes I actually wonder if he understands what he's saying. I don't know. I don't know. I find it very difficult to say that he knows exactly what he's saying. I think if we're to follow the things that the president says, he actually double speaks at some occurrences where he can say one thing and negate it within that span of a week. And for me, I don't think it's normal. I don't think it is. It's either, you know how you talk so much you forget what you've said? That's also a very simple way of describing a pathological liar. Or it's someone who says things to just please people in that particular moment.
Populism?
Yes. You just say things to make people happy, but you really don't mean it. We've seen that with Trump. And populism has increased worldwide. This is now we seem to be electing populist leaders where we don't necessarily care for the results, but they make us feel good.
It's the dimples that count.
Yeah, that's what, maybe he has been saved this week. I'm lucky.
I wanted to get your thought on that because, I mean, the president a while ago accused legislators of corruption. And even in the face of impeachment, some have been saved because money has been poured. So when he meddles in the face of an impeachment motion against Sakaja, him and Raila Odinga, and tells MCS go have 60 days to sit down, talk, and come at a resolution. Then also Raila Odinga is in the picture holding meetings with his MCS, and then Sakaja walks scot-free.
Yeah.
The impeachment motion is no longer on the table. How do you explain this, Nerima?
Timing. If the impeachment went through, that means we would have to have a by-election in Nairobi. And people will say, oh, why is it such a big deal? It's a big deal. Because remember, Sakaja came in under UDA.
Sure.
And right now, even with the conversations, we're seeing united opposition. No, the other day, Gachagua said that even him, he doesn't mind, being on the ballot.
Yeah. If anything, he's the one who can take Ruto head on.
Head on. But we all know that that's just a political show. All of them will say, by the way, they want to be president. You all say that so that you get to the table. It's so that you get to the table. This is just political talk. He doesn't really mean it.
Would you say the same of Boniface Mwangi? Because he was tossed himself in the ring.
He did. In fact, for Boni, he said that there are not enough young people. He's tired of seeing... Why do you want to...
Is it about young people or character of the young people?
Richie, I can see where you're coming from. Before you attack me, let me finish. Okay? So he said, and I've had these conversations with Boni before.
Tell me.
He says that there are too many people going for the presidency, and I'm not seeing people that I relate with. I'm not seeing people that I connect with. The people, I can see you. The people.
Even Martha Karua, he no longer resonates with her ideas and visions?
No.
Ah, okay.
No, it doesn't.
The ground has shifted that fast?
It has.
Okay, tell me more.
It has. And he said that for him, he feels that there should be more young people at the table. And for him, when he says young, he's talking about 45 and below. He's like, honestly, if you look at all those people over there, that whole crew, who is below 45?
None.
And he's like, for him, it's a pain. It's not about being young. It's the fact that a lot of the people who came out during the protests, majority of them were young. And they were demanding, they were yearning for accountability, good governance, and answers to about corruption, and they wondered why things were going the way they are going. Their representatives are not listening to them. So he said, now for that mass audience, surely, where is their representation? Because all those people we've talked about, none of them were on the streets, let's be honest. But then the first thing they did was take advantage of that wave. So he said, come on, me, I'm going. And you know, there's something that Boni said that's very interesting. He said,
Tell me.
even you should.
Oh.
All of us should. It's like, let us be as many as possible.
It doesn't have to be his show.
It doesn't have to be show. He's like, when we get close to the election, we will now sit down and we will see who has the actual power to win this thing. And he said, I am willing to
Is
step
it
aside.
Salasia? Is it Nerima?
Yeah. It's not Salasia. Remove Salasia from that list.
Okay, okay, fantastic. but it's not good to have this sense of self-importance and weight over the rest, Nerima.
Yeah, I don't think it's good, but I commend his courage. As much as people don't agree with him, I mean, I was also like, hey, okay, you're going for president. But the courage, Maze, like, there are very few people who have that same courage and audacity. He has an audacity that I wish more Kenyans had, to say, you know what, I'm standing up. I don't care what you think about me, I'm doing it. I think we need a lot more younger people to have that same sense of audacity. And that's the only way we're going to be able to see some semblance of change. Because even with this united opposition and, you know, what we were talking about before with Sakaja, they are worried that if they were to have a by-election in Nairobi, they are going to lose Nairobi. How would you feel being embarrassed that early? You already have other by-elections to worry about. Bere North, Malava, and then now...
Banisa.
Yes, Banisa. So now you want to worry about the capital? You want to worry about the capital? I will tell you for free. I will tell you for free. That is a chip they didn't want on the table, for sure. And that is for Odinga's interest, and that is for Ruto's interest.
You better have Mbwegze in stay.
You better have him in stay. He's a problem, but he's not a problem we want to deal with now. And that's what happened. They had to go sit down the MCAs and say, hey, we can't be embarrassed. Because now, the wave that UDA came in with Mount Kenya, we've lost it. So now, since we've lost it, what will that mean for Nairobi? Who are we going to front for Nairobi? And how are we going to allow ourselves to be embarrassed before 2027? How are we going to show the Kenyan people, by the way, we don't have the grounding that we position ourselves and say we have? Because Nairobi is a very important game here to play. So they had to. So Sakaja...
So they were fully aware that the smell of defeat was already rent in the air?
Yes. Oh, yes. I mean, of course, because who would they be able to front? Because even if you talk about Gakuya, and even if you talk about what? Babu right now. Babu is not in good books with ODM. So then now if Babu decides he's coming in with, say, Wiper, or if Babu comes in with his own party, you've already created a new dimension for Nairobi, which people don't want to deal with now. They're still trying to figure out what the political plague is, and Nairobi cannot come into the fore just yet. Not in 60 days. We're not ready for Nairobi in 60 days.
So it isn't a long con when you see Babu, Edwin Sifuna seemingly not reading from the same script as ODM. It's not a long con. That's the true measure of what's happening.
Let me sip water.
All right. Then bring on the tea.
The tea is, I already respect them, but I will respect Babu and Sifuna more if they walk out. If they walk out of their party. I think now what they're trying to do is get kicked out. And so I hear there was even a meeting with ODM where they tried to talk about outsaying Sifuna recently. And this is the reason. Like when you look at how the current senior politicians, how they built their wave, they had to come out and form their own vehicle. That's how our politics has been done. So, Rao had to walk out, Ruto had to walk out, Bathakarua had to walk out. I mean, all of them, they walked out.
A dramatic walkout at it.
It's dramatic. dramatic. So when you walk out dramatically, that's now when you're born again. When it comes to politics. And so Sifuna and Babu have been playing along the lines of threatening to, walk out, and we're not getting along, and I'm being left out.
Drawing lines on the sand.
Yes, but are they actually going to do it? I don't know. If they do, I will give them much more respect, because it means that they are willing to put their neck on the line. They are willing to build their reputation outside of Raila. And this is a big thing, because a lot of people will say that they earned that respect because of Raila's wave. So now they have to go outside that wave and say, no, watch me build this wave without him. And I think, honestly, it's about timing. I don't think there's a better time to do it. Because a lot of people will say, oh, Rao still has a big sway, he still commands. This is true. But we're also forgetting that there's a new generation of people who don't understand that sway, of people who never voted. Some of them, they're in their 30s right now. Our age mates who have never voted. Yeah, mid-30s below, never voted. And these are the people who they need to be targeting. They need to be talking to, encouraging to get voters' cards, encouraging to participate. I believe that there's a million, even more than a million, actually I think it's 15 million people within that bracket that haven't been quite tapped into yet. And they have an opportunity to.
So by Edwin Sifuna and Babu, building this wave under Kenya Moja and also Caleb Amisi, that doesn't really bring to fore that maybe they could be digging their own political obituaries.
I don't think so. I think that this, in fact, there's something that Caleb Amisi, Wamuchomba, they've been saying consistently on their different platforms. They've been calling out on young people to not even focus on the presidency. If you pay keen attention, they're talking about going for member of parliament. I believe it's even Wamuchomba who, over the weekend, she put up a post late at night. I even saw she must have been contemplating or having very serious political conversations to post then. And she said, young people, get out and vote for MPs that you identify with, especially young people. Vote for MCAs, because that's where the power is. Whoever gets president, whether we agree with them or not, we can decide whether we're going to impeach them. And I think that is such a powerful strategy, because at the end of the day, young people are the majority. At the end of the day, they're the ones who can actually sway an opinion in the next political election. And this to me is important, because they are not looking at that number one position, which a lot of senior politicians are fighting for. They're fighting. Let them fight up there. Ni sawa tu. Let them fight up there. But for us, we focus on bunge, and you don't need many. Yeah, you've heard about the 7 bearded sisters. You don't need many. You just have a collective of young politicians who have the same mindset. And even when you hear what Sifuna said recently in the Senate, and he was talking about development, and he was talking about, why can't we all receive development justly? It doesn't have to be until now these days we're seeing development in Nyanza. And me as a Luya, what does that mean for me?
Or you go to State House for development.
Exactly. So when you see them talking like that, you can see that they're changing a narrative, especially for young people to look at politics differently. And I think this is a good opportunity to do that, because after 2027, a lot of the people we're talking about won't even be able to stand. They can't vie. They will be 80 plus. They can't function. We will be talking about Bidens. They can't. So it's either they seize the opportunity now, or they wait for the Bidens to retire, and then they seize it then, which I think is late.
It makes sense, Nerima. There is a question that has been on the minds of many this far, especially from political pundits, that why is David Maraga only going the route of press statements? To win an election in Kenya, especially now, you need to do more than just press statements.
That's not fair to say.
I mean,
that's not fair.
Well, that is what they had to say, and that's why I've posed the question to you. But do you think Maraga's path this far is on the right trajectory?
Maraga was at a tournament over the weekend. I mean, he's out there, he's meeting people. I feel like people expect, I don't know, it to be on TV. I don't understand. Because if you follow his handle, he actually meets with people almost every other day. It might not be to the size, you know. I think we're also used to seeing people talking on top of vehicles where wanazurura ndani ya
Or
town.
splashing money.
Yeah, I think that's now for Kenyans, that's political engagement. But no, he has been having town halls, he's been having engagements. I told you about a soccer tournament that he just had this over the weekend, last weekend. And so, no, I don't...
He doesn't have to do helicopters, choppers here and there
And he
for people to
won't.
see that he's serious about it.
He won't. You know what his stance is in regards to even opulence. He's not going to do that. You are never going to see that man on a car.
So how do we then change the mindset of now this person who came up with this question, who still believes I have to see them with money, with choppers around so that I see a sense of power
Then
in
that
the pipeline?
that person needs to come to the reality that they are not ready for change. Yeah, that they are not, like, the abusive relationship they are used to is the one that they want. You know, the way sometimes you can have a friend in a very bad marriage. You're even wondering, sasa anafanya nini hapo? Anafaa kutoka.
Where is her PhD in this marriage?
Yeah.
I can't see it.
You're even shocked. You're wondering, you know.
This is a whole graduate.
But you know that saying, you don't disturb people who sleep under one blanket. You don't.
Don't be the advisor.
You don't be the advisor. There is no advisor with that one. Mwache tu kwa hiyo kitanda yake. Ako tu sawa ndani ya kitanda. Mwache tu hapo.
Kitamramba.
Leave him there. That's the advice I would give people. Because clearly, you're here screaming, shouting, you want something different. Someone is showing you something different, and then you're like, go back to the same. We're not going to do that.
Tuachie mfuko, Maraga.
Tuachie tu. Yeah.
Fantastic, Nerima. Let's shift gears a bit. And there's this concern in the country right now, and that has to do with our territorial integrity. Over the last couple of days, we've seen leaders, case in point, Mandera Senator Ali Roba coming forward and saying, the government, you need to intervene here because Jubaland forces are in Mandera and they're running the show. Of course, Murkomen, CS Interior, dismissed that, saying there's no invasion by Jubaland forces in Kenya. But Nerima Wako, do you think our integrity territorially is at stake?
It is at stake. And this is not something that started recently. I think what we saw with RSF is a clear indicator that we have lost ourselves when it comes to sovereignty. Because by the time something like that happens, when you have a senator come out and give a press statement and say, I am requesting for the state support, the state knew it was happening. These are things, we have such good intelligence. When you see how the US...
Allow me to interject you to that, because the president said he's a consumer of raw intelligence, not just intelligence. I think you can now proceed with that info. Consumer of raw intelligence, unlike you.
Exactly. The president knows what's happening. Every day he gets this information. He knows exactly what's going on in our country. The fact that we even have all of this intelligence, we get so much resource from the US government. That's also a big reason why we have so many bases of the US and Britain here, colonizers here. And he still acts as though, by the way, that's gaslighting. He still acts as though what the senator is saying is a lie, far-fetched, crazy, nonsense. No. And you know what shocks me? I've heard how people say we don't get presidents unless they get this international backing. So the US had to have backed Ruto to be president. The same way. UK had to have backed Ruto to be president. Now, when he's doing these things in terms of, let's be frank, these are terrorist groups. When you're talking about trainings, when you're talking about military outside of countries, inside your country, things like this are matters of intelligence that worry countries like the US. They worry countries like the US. Why the silence? Why not the intervention? When you talk about even the UK, for instance, it's a country that would talk about human rights within the UK, but outside they were busy terrorizing Africans and colonizing Africans and looting wealth of African countries. Because right now we are talking about repatriation, even the Mau Mau. The US has a similar history. they used to talk about, you know, having human rights, but then it had a country that was built on slavery. So not every human being is equal to the other. But it was also interfering with countries like Cuba, Venezuela. It was also interfering with South American countries. And even when we talk about the CIA involvement, I don't even want to go into that. And how they were involved in the Black Rights Movement, or Sankara in his death. I mean, it's such a doublespeak. So when I see the silence of these countries, I'm concerned.
Mute of malice.
Yeah. There's a lot in common that they have. Where for me, what I see in Kenya, not only are we minimizing human rights of Kenyan citizens, but we're doing it to our neighbors as well? Really? And then you want to talk about Nairobi being the host of the UN? What paradox is this? Who is making these decisions?
The diplomats will be mugged here in CBD.
I'm telling
like it's happening.
Yeah. And you know
a surge in mugging cases.
And you know where those gangs are coming from?
Tell me.
It's politicians. I mean, they were emboldened.
Come on, Nerima.
They were emboldened during the protests. It's the same police that were protecting these gangs.
These goons that walked side by side with the police.
Yeah.
Are the ones being unleashed to attack citizens?
Of course. I mean, Richie, think about it. Like during the protests, they were getting protection, even from the police. It was even on the Standard, on the front page.
Yeah.
It was a picture. It was something around anarchy. Okay? So this is what happens when you start to play with order, right? A gang really should be afraid of the police.
Yeah.
But what the state did was encourage the police to partner with gangs. So now you want to come back and tell that same gang, by the way, yo urafiki imeisha sasa. Now we are back to chasing you. I mean, how?
Tokeni CBD.
Yeah, talk us CBD. But you're the ones who told them to come to CBD. Eh?
Mosiri is listening to you saying all this.
But you remember I told you how I was standing at that overpass when I saw people coming with sticks from Globe Cinema. That Globe roundabout. I was there. I saw it with my eyes. And I was like, what is going on? And the police just stood there. And I was like, what country is this?
Armed guns?
Yes. So now we are getting the backlash. Now you have given the goons confidence. You've told them, this city is yours. You know, you can do anything you want. We would shika you. See, remember there was like a story about even goons walking to State House. Do you remember?
Jeshi ya governor.
They walked to State House.
Yeah.
The audacity. Then now you're coming and telling these people that, by the way, that power that we gave you, we have taken it back. Now you're doing wrong. But what they were doing, they were
proceed on leave as Jeshi ya governor. Imagine. Proceed on leave.
Can you imagine? I mean, that's what happens when you mess around with order. Oh yeah, me, I'm not surprised. This was supposed to happen. This is supposed to happen. And unfortunately, what we're going to find is a lot of gang leaders are going to be killed, extrajudicial killings. Yeah, that's going to come. And then that's how they're going to now give control back to the gangs and say, you see, now because you're not listening to us, look at your friends, what we've done to them. Unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. Because I've seen they've arrested 80 of them. Yeah. 80. Hey, that's very scary. For real, we are living in mafia. We are living in a mafia town. By the time you can arrest 80. But why? Because of noise on social media. It wasn't actually the police saying there's a surge of insecurity.
You mean that could have been swept under the carpet? Why not for the social media uproar?
Yes. I mean, how many times are you in Tao? See, after the protest, there was a lot of security that was put in Tao.
Yeah.
See, the police were seeing this happening. It's just that now Kenyans have started saying it's becoming too much.
So this is just knee-jerk reaction?
It's a knee-jerk reaction. They knew this was happening. They knew this was happening. They didn't care. Yeah.
So unfortunate. Nerima, we've had these grassroots leaders troop into State House. Yes, the president has said, I'm not going to make State House a preserve for the elites. I mean, this is your place. This is your palace. Walk in any day, any time. But more shocking are now the things you talked about initially, the spending even when it comes to hospitality and hosting such visitors. Control of Budget Margaret Nyakango just revealed at least 17.2 million is spent daily in terms of Kenyan shillings. Or just tea and mandazi. I mean, Nerima comes over, we need to make you feel at home. So if this is going to be the trend, what message are you sending to taxpayers? And they're already grappling. I mean, they've been dragging under the burden of these weighty taxes. Do you think it will come to a time where they'll not even troop to that status and saying enough is enough?
That's way too much money on tea and mandazis. Even though I've had the tea, the masala is one of the best. But it's too much money. And I think one of the things, I would have said we fast. See, tulingia hapa na kanisa. See, all of us, we just fast. We are fasting for Kenya. When you come to State House, let's pray for
the Kenya. Same way we banned alcohol from State House, also banned the food, the meals?
Yeah, we banned the meals. It's not unheard of. See, Jesus went for 40 days without food. So what's the big deal? I think it's just wastage. I've never seen so much waste. And I don't know if it's because we are a larger population and we have bigger budgets, but it just seems just like opulence. I don't understand it, because even one of the first things to do to reduce costs is on things such as that. Food, it's not a necessity. Tea and snacks. We're not saying you get rid of lunch. It's tea and snacks, which is not necessary. Unless, I mean, how long are the meetings and how many people? That's unreal. And for me, actually, to encourage even business, because we talked about the economy earlier,
True.
It would be to go to the grassroots, to go to the communities and empower these local canteens and cafeterias. Give that resource to them. That's how you build a business. Give them that biashara, rather than just having it at State House and it continues to circulate within the same confines.
Or formalize the Juakali sector then?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's so many ways to think through things. And unfortunately, this is another saying, the people with ideas just don't have money. Then the people with money
don't
just
have ideas.
That's what we're saying at State House. People with money and just no ideas.
That's where Nerima comes in. With big ideas but zero money.
Zero money. But there are things I can do with money. If I just get some money like this, I can do so much.
Why are you a child of a lesser God then?
I don't know what this
Who
is.
cast you?
Yeah.
You don't pray facing Mount Kenya in this or that way?
I don't understand. Even you, that 17 million on mandazi imeniuma.
All right, there you have it from Nerima Wako.
That's a house. That's a cottage. A condo. Hey, a day. Stop it. 17 million. What kind of car is that even? Yo? Imeniuma. By the way, this will sumbua me the whole day. What? 17 million.
Maybe we need to go and test the tea then.
Yo,
you and I.
It must have special masala. Maybe it has gold leaves or something.
Or maybe the mug has a red bottom.
Made exclusively in China.
Well, there you have it from Nerima Wako, Executive Director, Siasa Place. We've been discussing a raft of issues in the world of politics and governance, from matters to do with the devolution, fight against corruption, also making Kenya that Singapore of Africa. You've heard it from Nerima Wako. She also brought in her nuggets of wisdom on how better our politicians can navigate the 2027 campaigns, and also how they can now deliver for the people should they get those seats they are looking for. Nerima, great to have you one more time on this particular program. Wait to see you next week, Saturday, 7:30 p.m. as usual.
See you.
All right, do enjoy the rest of your viewing. I'm Richard Mwenje.